Another new feature that's been added to ASP.NET is one called tracing. Now, in this video, I just want to talk about what tracing is and what it does for you. Simply put, it traces your web page execution. Now, let's talk about why we need this. In the olden days, of course, I'm talking a year and a half, 2 years ago now, a developer would build a web page, and it wouldn't work right. I know that's going to shock and disillusion you, but that actually happens sometimes. But we've got all this code in here that is running, but we're getting errors, and we're not really sure why we're getting these errors or exactly where the error is happening or what's causing it, what's triggering it. So what we would do is go in and put response rights. And so we might put a response right here and put a response right here and have it write some variable values or I've reached point A or whatever, or this particular portion has run. Then we would run the application. We'd open the web browser, run the page, and when this fired and we saw whatever we had in our response right here, then we knew that our application had run at least, this far, right, down to here. And then if we ever saw this one show up, then we knew that it had run down to here. And that was up to us to write any kind of logic in this response right to give us a clue about what was going on inside there. Well, tracing does every bit of this for you. What it's going to do is produce a step-by-step report of what's happened on your web page. Now, some of the stuff is fairly nerdy and technical. Others of it is extremely useful. And then it's going to show you informational messages, events that have fired, things that have happened. Now, there's two kinds of data, basically, this is going to show you. First of all is automatically generated data, and then the really good stuff is user-defined data. So I can go in there and use some messages to write things just like I used to do with response rights. But there was a problem with the response rights because once I had written a page, and that's kind of a weird-looking page, but once I had written a page, right, and then put a response right in here, then before I actually finished this thing up and sent it out to the production server, I had to go in here and take this response right out, or it would actually show up on my finished web page, and that wasn't a good idea. But with this built into my tracing, and so when I turn tracing back off, my messages go away. Now, the user options, first of all, I can output variables, and then I can write tracing information based on conditions. And so I have a lot of options here. Now, user options are accessed using the trace object. Now, there is a trace object, again, in the .NET framework, and there's a debug object. And so I can report out to myself based on either one of these objects. Now, how do I make this happen? Well, here it is. To enable tracing, I can do it either at the page level or the application level. Now, at the page level, notice our friend, the @page directive. And notice in this one, we're telling it we're going to use VB as the language. But now we're going to include trace. And so we're telling it trace equals true. And this is telling this thing to turn on tracing. Okay? So what's going to happen is for this page, and you're going to see in the next video, I'm going to go out and turn this on and run it and let you see exactly what it looks like and how it behaves. But when trace is set to true in the @page directive, every time this page is requested, I will see the page in the web browser just like always. But then at the bottom, truncated or I guess appended onto the end of the page will be all this tracing information. Okay, now at the application level, I can go right into the web.config file, that XML file, and I'm going to set application level tracing on. And then this thing's just going to go through and it's going to automatically write the tracing information, append it to the bottom of every page I visit in the website. Now that's pretty cool because I can then just freely maneuver through my website, scroll down and see what's happening and see exactly where errors are happening or where things aren't going the way I thought they should. There's another really cool feature here, and that is that I can trace to memory, which means it's not at the bottom of every one of my pages it's going into memory. Then I can call the trace deep AXD page and see all of this tracing from my whole website in one page. And so I can follow my path all the way through my page and see all these events and variables and messages I've written to myself and so forth. So tracing is absolutely incredible. You're going to like it when you see it, I promise. And that's what's coming up in the next video. I'm going to go out, turn on tracing, show you how it behaves, show you what it does, and just how you can use this in troubleshooting your development.